doesn't want to cruise the Adriatic Sea in the hands of a local expert? Meet Alan Mandic, founder and managing director of Secret Dalmatia, offering unique experiences in Croatia, Slovenia, Montenegro, and beyond. After finishing his studies in Boston in 2005, Alan returned home with a mission of showcasing this region to the world. So, Alan, it is a pleasure to have you with us. This is our second edition of RepFest, and we couldn't be happier to have the opportunity to showcase Croatia, to talk about Secret Dalmatia, and introduce you to the North American market. I'm sure many of you already know Secret Dalmatia, but those that do not, and sometimes those that do, might not know Alan so well. And I think as the founder and the passion behind the brand, I'm thrilled to have Alan with us and to introduce a little bit of your passion, your story to the audience.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Tina, and I'm super glad that you'll be at the RepFest for the first time.
So, Alan, first of all, I wanted to start with listening to your story. I think, you have an amazing story, especially because few people will probably know that you actually started it as early as 2005 when you returned from school in Boston.
Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about your experience in Boston, with American culture, and then what drove you to go back home and start Secret Dalmatia?
Well, I went to school there in the mid-90s, earlier than that, and I went to the New England School of Art and Design. So my major was in arts. I actually studied graphic design and in Boston, and it was a fantastic city. I love the city and love coming back. Love the culture. But there was always something, for me, pushing me back, especially during the long, cold winters. As you know, that's not the nicest place to be at during the
Boston gets
Northeast.
really cold.
Yes. And I experienced some of the worst winters ever there. So that's why I decided to go back. One of the reasons, obviously, but I really loved my country, and I love the history and passion about, us as Mediterranean people, and love the food back home. And I said, okay, let's go back. Then it took me some time to, figure out what to do, because I was working with my father. We have some boats that we, some for tourism, some for merchant marine and everything. But it was always, bugging me why Croatia is attracting like the masses of people coming to Croatia. It's like, it was always a problem to me. It's not about the people who these people are still curious. These people are interesting in everything, but there's so much more to see in the country. So for me, it was always a challenge. And eventually, at one summer afternoon, I discovered, let's say, I found the two Romanos sarcophagi in the middle of nowhere in an archaeological site. And I was like, wow, I got to show this to someone. Because these two sarcophagi spoke to me. They said, someone has to come and see this. So next day, I said, okay, I'm starting my own travel agency. I had to show this to people. I had to, bring people to see this. And it took me some more time, a couple more months. I started my website, and the rest is, just a flow. So my education was never in travel. Everything I did was learning in small steps and just by passion and thinking, how would I feel if someone comes to Croatia? What would I like to feel and see as a foreigner? And that's why I designed all these services that I have. And, I knew that we can promote cooking classes. But since I didn't know a person who can be actually a cooking class master for us, it took me a while to have that person. And now I have Tatiana, and she lives in a 13th century palace in Trogir. And she's all smiles. She speaks great English because she lived in Australia. And I knew immediately, this is it. This is the person who will talk. Not me. This is the person who will talk about food to our travelers, and that's how all the baby steps led to this what we have right now.
Unbelievable. And I love to hear you speak, because there's so much passion for the country and showcasing the real, authentic Croatia. But it's not only Croatia, right? You work the neighboring countries as well.
I lived since I was born in Yugoslavia. We have a much broader perspective on the region. All these countries used to be part of Yugoslavia, and we consider them, to be part of the same country. So Slovenia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Albania, Serbia, not Albania, but Serbia and North Macedonia were all now independent countries, but we're all part of the big Yugoslavia. So once all that collapsed, we still had the knowledge about these countries. These are not foreign countries to us. And the Slovenia, for example, was always a treasure since I was a kid. Montenegro, discovering a later stage, you know, food, wine, beautiful landscapes, great people, and you know, all these treasures, cultural treasures that people don't even think about when they talk about Balkans. So those kind of things are always of huge interest. And then you know, when people started coming, oh, can we combine Slovenia? Then we say, okay, why not? I had a great couple from Australia coming, and these guys are the doctor from Australia, and he's asking me, oh, we found your, you know, online by recommendation by a friend of ours. We would like to see more of Croatia, but also Slovenia. And I said, yes. And they said, we are big on food. I said, oh, wow, that's fantastic, because I can create some really amazing things. After I proposed the program, they did not book any food things, any food experiences. And I'm like, what's going on? So I meet them halfway, and they come to me and say, Alan, we made a huge mistake. We did not book anything with you, and because we didn't believe that the food and wine would be so good. And in Slovenia, every wine was better than what we have. Every food was more, you know, intense that we experienced. And then in Croatia, you know, I also, you know, then started, and I put some more things, and they loved it. But you know, that's how people don't have the perception. They just see pretty pictures.
For sure. No, and I think this is what's so exciting about the region, because there's so many unexpected surprises.
Yes.
Right? But it is on everybody's bucket list. And I think that one of the things you mentioned is the unexpected surprises, right? Because there's so much culture, there's so many flavors, there's so many personalities, right? Even though it's a relatively small region, but so many different countries within. And so I think that's definitely one of the big stories to be told, right? So if somebody's going for the first time, how long do you spend? What is the idea? Is there an ideal itinerary? You know, how do we explore all that in a trip, or is it impossible? You need to come multiple times.
Many people come multiple times. I had later friends who were coming for 5 years, and you know, always seeing same people, pretty much being involved with them. And I asked them, what keeps you coming back to Croatia? I mean, you can go wherever, you have money. And they said, it's very safe, fantastic food, and people, a lot of people speak great English. So they can have a meaningful conversation with pretty much, you know, 80% of the people on the street. And they loved it. They felt very safe. They were coming. Now they're elderly, and because of all the situation, they're not coming. But that's pretty much sums up Croatia. We are very welcoming people, Mediterranean at heart, but we still have some organization, you know, like from the German side, from the continental European side, somewhat. And then there's a Turkish influence through the Balkans that reflects on food and some of the culture. And then there's Italian on the coast from Venice, because we're part of Venice for 400 years. You know, all these little things make a huge mix that people are just, you know, like, wow, we didn't expect this here. We didn't know this would be here. And then there's beautiful nature. I live I'm in between Split and Belgrade. That's a small place on the coast. It's a 5,000 people place. I love living in a small place, a small town. But around me, within 1 hour to 1.5, there are 5 national parks.
Wow.
And few parks on nature. So whenever every weekend, we just go somewhere, and it's beautiful. So when you ask me how many days in Croatia, I would say 12 to 14 would be ideal. In 12 days, they can see a lot, but 14 is really quite a bit. But when we create a program, then we try to mix downtime, so people can explore on their own, and experiences or activities, so people can really get to see, you know, interesting things that they cannot book on their own, they cannot see on their own, they cannot find on their own.
No, and that's the key, right? Is finding the hidden gems, because it's not. I think one of the most beautiful things also about the hospitality in Croatia is that when you look at the hotels, and again, I think you're having a very interesting growth and movement and in the hotel scenes, but they're very much. You have some very special local gems.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot. You don't have the Marriotts and the, you know, I mean, you have really the unique, hidden, unknown local personalities.
You know, I have a personal friend who's opened a hotel in Zadar. It's a 14-bedroom hotel, and this hotel used to be a historic hospital from 1800s. He took such a big effort to create this. You know, it was every stone he was expecting. He and his wife are, you know, lunatics, but everything was done with so much passion. Redone if it wasn't right, and you know, they take great care of all these things. And then he started doing some tastings because that's his passion with liquors, because of the great liquor story in this region. Unfortunately, COVID destroyed this at the moment, but we are hopeful all this will be coming back with more curious people that we attracting lately, more and more, you know, travelers, and that was, as I explained, one of my biggest frustration when I see that someone's coming to Croatia doing a very off-the-shelf tour, and they have so particular interest, and they haven't seen, let's say they want to see archaeology, they take them to the most best known sites, and there are so many fantastic places they cannot find on their own, and that's, you know, it bothers me. I feel, you know, like why
Wait.
Yes,
It's a waste. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, you know, I think everything we've lived through has really showcased us how important it is to get local, proper information. And I think the travel community is gonna benefit from this. The same way that a traveler is gonna look, you know, more than ever is gonna look for an advisor to help them plan the trip. The advisor wants to look for a local expert to make sure that, you know, the tips they have on the ground are truly the best and the most authentic, because the trips are becoming longer. You know, people are spending more time in one place. So you really have to get it right, and you really need to have a trusted partner. And I was very excited to have this conversation with you, because your passion and your dedication to what you do is so strong. And I tend to always believe that when you talk about a destination management company, or pretty much anybody, you need to get to know the personality behind the brand. And it's, you know, I think Secret Dalmatian, you've been doing this for what, 16 years, if not more. And, you know, it's very clear the brand is respected and people who know it love it. But those that don't know you are missing, you know, a big part of the story. No, I'm sure you're phenomenal.
But I don't want to be exposed. You know, it's not about me. Clients will not see me. Agents are working with my people in my staff. They work with my guides, my personal friends who are here. You know, and these people are important. I'm just a guy in the background who puts all this together and make sure this goes well. And you know, I'm not a pushy guy. And you know that, you know, when we started talking about this, I don't see it that way. You know, but I understand your point. People like to connect to something like that.
Sure. And so if I want to get people to understand the story of Secret Dalmatian, what has to do with your story, can you, if you were to showcase one story that people will understand the essence of Secret Dalmatia in a story, be it of an experience that you lived or an experience that a client had, can you share with us a story that you would say represents your ethos?
I don't know, but it's difficult because every tour is different. We try to, you know, maximize the experience and everything. I'm just a guy who's trying to connect these people together. And, you know, we have some fantastic guides, and I'd rather talk about them than about myself, you know, because these people are what makes Croatia special for our clients. So let's say Mario Bartulovic, who lives on Pelješac, his family's been here for 500 years. Wow. And this guy is so passionate about wines. And, you know, or my friend Domagoj Nikolic, who is a fantastic lecturer in Dubrovnik as well, but he has a house in the hillside. And then at one point there was a second person in Oxford University at the time coming on a honeymoon, second honeymoon in Croatia with us. And and I call him my friend Domagoj. I put them together, and I call my Domagoj at 9 p.m. at the night. And I said, "How was the day?" He said, "What do you mean, how was the day? They're still here."
Yeah.
You know, and they left it in the morning. And the guy called me and says, "Alan, the Domagoj was, wow, you know, we were, how do you know these people?" I said, "I know these people. These are my friends. You know, I hang out with these people." So that's the essence, you know, meeting and having my clients meet fantastic locals. And that's the key, you know, no matter if it's a chauffeur, if it's a, you know, or a guide, or just someone who's really, really special and peculiar about something, doesn't matter. They're all at the same level.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, it's all about making, you know, I call it in my company, I'd say, you know, that people want to click. They want to find somebody that they really connect with. And I think the example you gave just now, you're actually giving somebody the gift of a friend. I mean, that's if you go as they always say, if you can go as a tourist and then go back as a friend to visit a friend, that's the ultimate trip, right? You want to create relationships with people that you can say, wow, I have a friend there, I can go back there. And I think that the way that you share your friends and your generosity in opening your life is very, very special. And I think that that's what makes the ultimate trip at the end of the day, right?
Yes, I agree with you. That's having friends. They're all friends, they all interconnect. We just recently had a guy writing to us and said he's been around the world. The guy, the client is a millionaire, and he travels with his grandchildren. He comes to us and he wants to connect with a good friend of mine who took him on a trip. And he's writing, I really want to go back to Croatia because of you and your wife, because you did these amazing things, and they, unfortunately, my friend is very sick at the moment, and hopefully he will recover. But those kind of things and the passion of the people that I'm, friends at the daily basis, it's what makes us what we are right now. That's the essence. Sure. And I'm like I explained, I'm more inclined to dealing with my people on the ground and making sure that they do everything right than contacting agents and say, oh, hi, here's Secret Dalmatia, would you like to work with us? Not me. If you don't understand that part, just me, maybe I'm wrong, but
I think we thrive at what we do because of the people that surround us. I couldn't agree with you more. It's the same thing with DL Portfolio. And so if I love stories, as you can tell. And so when, we all went through a very, very challenging 2020. I don't think anybody in the world, doesn't matter how much money you have, or if you had people that, got sick or not, I think it really put us to the test as human beings. But at the same time, there's always been a silver lining. There's a lesson that we learn. There's something that we can extract and become a little bit more rounded, more focused, more empathetic. I don't know. If you have to look back at your year and you could offer, right now the travel community is also still waiting for this boom to come. I'm very confident it's just around the corner. What could you share about your learning of the last year?
Quite a bit. We've been very active, proactive, and working on a lot of things. There is a proverb, I'm not sure whose proverb it is, but it says, there are no problems, there are only opportunities. And if you think it that way, everything's open. So, we looked at past year, and then we said, okay, guys, what we're going to do? I kept all my staff. We refunded hundreds of thousands of dollars of deposits, no problem. I just, I keep my business very healthy, and I keep my staff with me. So we spoke about, how do we get better? How do we improve? What can we do in the future period? I spoke to them. And then we came up with few solutions. We are working on few minor projects, side projects that may come relevant in the future. But for us, it's just keeping together and staying safe, being with our families at this time. That's what is important.
Yeah, no, and I think it's very admirable that you have your team, you invested in your team, and I know myself as well. And I think that it's, as you said, it's like keeping your family together, right? They got us to where we are, and if we have we can give back by keeping everybody together. It's so important. And I think another thing that speaks very highly of Secret Dalmatian yourself is your desire to continue to work and invest and connect with the travel community. And I think your vision of this is not the time to stop and wait, it's the time to connect and build, which is, it's totally visionary. I think.
I just think it's the right time. We'll never have this opportunity again in our lives, I think. This comes along once in a lifetime, a crisis of these proportions. Hopefully we'll never encounter this. But if we just, sat on the side and started crying, what's happening, nothing, we won't do anything. And a year passed like this, notice 2020 gone. And now it's 2021, it's already March. If we don't start thinking and working, come on, it's another year lost. People are anxious to travel. We know that there are limitations, but we can prepare all the things. We can learn about destinations. We can expand to another destinations. We can, talk to you, for example, and learn more things what can be done in the future.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm sure that every word that you mentioned, your optimism and your positivity is contagious. And I know that everybody's looking forward to going to Croatia and getting back to travel. And I wanted to thank you for your time. It's so nice to be able to connect and introduce you to those that don't know you. And I'm sure there's only great things ahead. So Alan, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to connect.
Thank you, Tina. It was great seeing you. And at least I guess maybe someone will take the good advice and get inspired.
For sure. And as you said, there's one very important message. There are no challenges. Every challenge is an opportunity. And
exactly.
Then you can look at life like that, then everything changes color.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.